What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so it's been quite the tumultuous week, if you will, for Trump at least. Like, they are actually have just come into the office and are already working like a well-oiled machine, and all of his cabinet picks aren't even in office yet. That's the crazy thing about this. We've got a purge going on at the DOJ, which is great, which we're going to discuss on my next video, by the way, so y'all make sure and tune in. Check that video out. It's coming up. I haven't even recorded it yet. I'm recording it right after I record this one, but it's going to be a great video. I've got a couple of clips to show you guys, but it's Saturday. We got Piers Morgan. We've had a crazy week, y'all, but we're going to get into this debate. I just wanted to kind of break down some of the stuff going on. We've had all these confirmation hearings, and what they've shown is Democrats are so salty, right? But they're putting up this front of this moral grandstanding, their moral superiority, if you will, and we've got some of that coming up on this first clip. But before we get into that, y'all do me a favor, smash that like button. And if you're new around here and like Piers Morgan debates, I always analyze these and break these down and kind of insert myself a little bit, if you will. Y'all subscribe to this channel because I cover these every Saturday, every Sunday, sometimes even more if I'm not at work. So, y'all subscribe, check it out, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. But without any further ado, let's get it, y'all.
Well, Jojo, I saw that you were... in fact, you were called stony-faced is how I would categorize your expression there. Welcome to Uncensored. Great to have you here. You made a big name for yourself in the last year, so it's exciting to have you. I don't think you feel he's quite on the roll in the euphoric way that Heraldo does. Am I right in picking up the rather more negative vibes?
Well, thank you for having me on. And yeah, no, you're definitely picking up what I'm laying down. But I wanted to start with, Piers, your comment about Donald Trump's achievement in installing a Diet Coke button in the Resolute desk, because I'm old-fashioned, I guess, and my barometer for achievement is maybe not leaving office, saddling our economy with the third largest debt relative to the size of our economy of any president in our history. But I mean, maybe you measure success differently. And I just wanted to also mention Heraldo. Yeah, you're right about it being exciting. Someone mentioned something about this being exciting, but I'm old enough to know and grew up in the tri-state area that sometimes exciting things also yield nothing, like, a vault being opened on live TV or something like that, where you can get a lot of excitement and drum it up. And then ultimately, it reveals nothing. I mean, I'm just old enough to remember that. Oh, look, Heraldo, I all due respect, I did grow up with you on TV, and everyone remembers that sort of infamously, well, I don't know how to, I won't say it was a failure, but let's just say infamous event. But you mentioned that he has a mandate, and I wanted to... television. Oh, look, I mean, we watched it, right? It was amazing. It's now become a punchline and a running joke, in all due respect. We all build our careers the way we do. But you mentioned that he has a mandate, and I wanted to touch on that because he did not win the majority of the popular vote. He has a plurality of the popular vote. There are more people in this country who didn't vote for him than did. So none of that is a mandate by any stretch of the imagination.
Hang on, putting aside your...
You gotta love it. You gotta love to see this. They can't seem to come to grips that they put the felon in charge. They put the insurrectionist back into the White House, and they're all screaming, "Oh, Project 2025 is coming! Just look what he's doing, y'all! Project 2025 is coming!" I gotta love watching these leftists whinge. I just love to see it because their ideas, these narratives they push out, and that's all they are. They're just narratives. It's not reality. It's divorced from reality. They make all this stuff up in their head. Oh, Trump's Hitler, Trump's bad, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist, he's this, he's that. And he comes into office and he starts cleaning house, getting us back to where we're at. And the people are cheering for it. The people are absolutely cheering for it, but they're so salty. Oh, he doesn't have a mandate. He didn't win the majority. He won the plurality. Yeah, is there a difference there? No, not really, because the majority of voters voted for Donald Trump. Yeah, you could say that more Americans, blah, 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 didn't vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, because most Americans don't vote, to be honest with you, which is crazy, but they're just... really, really salty about it. And I love to dump salt on their wounds, if you will, because Donald Trump is absolutely keeping his promises. He's coming in, he's cleaning house, he's wrecking shop, and he's doing the job that we put him in the Oval Office to do. getting rid of this past 4 years, essentially. I mean, I'm going through my news articles every day because that's normally what I do, in case you guys get some of this idea that, oh, I'm some uninformed jackass that just gets up there and just tries to debunk these talking points. Yeah, go check out my video archive, because I always get these people coming in talking about, oh, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, some uninformed asshole, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, go check out my video archive. All I do is read the news, so I stay in tune with what's going on, and I'm reading through my headlines, and I'm like, man, what is going on? I'm just loving it, and the left is so salty about it, but you gotta love to see it. But let's see what else they're talking about. Let's keep going, y'all.
Selena Gomez has decided that the correct response to, so far, a bunch of illegal immigrant criminals, including some despicable people, by the way, with despicable crimes, have been deported, that this is the correct response. Let's take a look.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but you should know that she almost immediately deleted it because the instant reaction from Americans was to absolutely ridicule this absurdly narcissistic response from somebody trying to make this all about her, weeping for people, in some cases I've seen, rapists and murderers. What is she crying about?
In some cases, like right here in my state, it was a U.S. citizen and veteran, Piers, that was also detained without a warrant at his place of work. So, I mean, if you want to talk about the rapists and criminals that are being detained, but you're just going to not refer to those situations as well, I mean, we're not really painting a full picture. And I want to just stop really quickly on the emotion that she expressed there. We are traumatizing our society as we speak. We are traumatizing our children. There are kids in my town where I live. My kids are almost 12 and 15 years old, and they ask me every day. My friends want to know when their parents are going to be taken, and will they have to go too? And if they don't go, who will take care of them? There was a video that went around my town last night that children here thought was real, of ICE coming and taking kids out of their homes.
So let me ask you.
This
let me
is
ask you.
traumatizing, Piers.
Okay, Jojo, let me ask you. So do you believe then that it is entirely correct and proper that illegal immigrants who've entered the country illegally and are then criminals who've broken the law, that they should be allowed to stay? And what about the million people who've already been processed for deportation under the Biden administration but weren't actually deported? Would you keep them as well? In other words, for you, is there no limit to what people can do? They can come in illegally, they can break the law with impunity, they can be processed for deportation, but still you want to keep them in America. Well, what are you saying? It's important to clarify it.
Well, I never said that, but I never said that at all. In fact, I will say that, first of all, my father was an immigrant who came here lawfully from Lebanon, worked for 50 years for the Department of Defense, believed in the shining city on a hill. I would also say that if we're going to have that I believe that, by the way, there's much reform to be made to the immigration process in this country. If I were an expert on that, I'd have a very different job. I'm not. I will say that it needs to be done and needs to be addressed. But if we're going to have the conversation about consequences and rule of law, then we need to have that conversation about somebody sitting on your panel right now who was a January 6th insurrectionist and was pardoned for his crimes. So if you're going to thread the needle on what is acceptable in terms of allowing crime and what is not acceptable in terms of allowing crime, or forgivable in terms of allowing crime because of the color of someone's skin or the status of their citizenship, then I don't think this is a conversation about the rule of law at all.
Okay, but just to be clear, because you haven't answered the question, would you let illegal immigrants who break the law
Do I think that people should be able to? No, I don't. I don't think anyone should be able to break the law in this country and have no consequences for it. I do think that there are other ways to handle immigration rather than rounding people up in their elementary schools or going to their places of work or showing up at the groves where they're picking the citrus fruit that none of us will pick. And so that whole thing we don't even have half the citrus crops we used to have because no one will pick it. Do I think that they should be able to commit crimes willy-nilly? No, I don't think anybody in this country should be able to do that. But do I think dehumanizing them by putting it on TV with Dr. effing Phil is the way to do it? No, we've seen this playbook before, Piers. Everyone on this panel knows we've seen this playbook before. This is how you dehumanize people so that you can get clear the path towards atrocity. And I'm not on board with that.
So that seems to be the playbook, right? You're going to feign outrage right here, then ad hominem attack, and then let's go with the dehumanizing narrative over here, right? All to prop up these illegal immigrants that are coming in, right? But let's get some things straight here. Let's get some things straight. You hear this argument constantly. Oh, they're taking the people that are picking the crops. So what are you arguing for here? To exploit these people? To pay them less money? They come in illegally, and you're saying our economy can't survive without these people. Well, hang on, though. Who are we actually deporting here? The people, these people, they go to sanctuary cities. What is a sanctuary city? Does sanctuary cities have farms, have blueberry farms and strawberries and avocados and all this other stuff where the people are picking their crops? No, they don't. They absolutely don't. And that's where the vast majority of these people are going. So they're advocating for exploiting criminal aliens. This is insane, if you ask me. It's all nuts. I can't see how they can morally justify their position. Hey, let's exploit some people who've had a bad life. They have it rough over here, and let's get out there and feign outrage when Donald Trump says we must uphold the law. This is absurd. What Joe Biden has done to this country is absurd. He's allowed so many people to come into this country, and they're not coming in to pick the crops, by the way. That's not what they're doing. Sure, there is that. But you know what? The other argument for this, there is a legal process by which people come in, they get a visa to go work in agriculture. There is a process for this. Now, if you want to argue that they don't allow enough of this, make that argument instead of making the argument and feigning the outrage and doing all this other nonsense by saying we should allow people to break our laws just because you think, not because of any evidence shows, but because you think that's the right and just thing to do. The evidence doesn't prove this. A lot of criminals come in with those people, and that must be stopped. It's got to be stopped. Right? Laken Riley is proof of this. And there's name after name after name after name of people who have been victimized by Joe Biden's open border. This is all on the books, on the record. And I just can't see how they can actually get out there and argue for exploiting these migrants. I can't get over that. They're like, yes, these illegals need to come in to pick our crops and to clean our restrooms and to do all this other nonsense that, American workers, they don't want to do this. Well, how do you know that? Who done it before we had this illegal immigration crisis going on? Somebody had to do all this, didn't they? Right? And this idea that the economy is going to explode because of this is absurd, right? So they're actually advocating for, so because you want to pay, 25, 50 cents less for your tub of blueberries over here, that we should exploit a bunch of people from third world nations to do so? Because you want to pay a little bit less for your fruits and vegetables? So these people can have a job, they can have a better life. That's not the people that we're talking about, are we? See, we're always arguing past each other because, people over here that are advocating for what Donald Trump is actually doing, are always arguing for we need to get rid of the criminal aliens that are in this country. And they always conflate, you're trying to deport immigrants, like what she was talking about. People are worried about am I going to be next? No, you're not. If you're an American citizen, you're not. If you immigrated here the legal way, you have nothing to worry about. But that doesn't stop the left from once again feigning the outrage. They're getting rid of my friends and family. Right? Like with that clip of Selena Gomez. I don't know what to do. How about I can answer that. I can tell you exactly what to do. You can sit down and shut up. That's exactly what you can do. Just back up. Nobody cares that you don't know what to do about this. Because Why do you care so much for people that break the law? And they want, I just love that too. And then go ad hominem with it, talking about Brandon Strauch right there, who was a peaceful protester, if you will. As a matter of fact, he was doing more journalism than anything. The guy goes to the Capitol, films a video, and then a couple of weeks later has the FBI raid his house and arrest him and bring him to jail. He served time in prison. He didn't even go into the Capitol. And there were at least 1,000 of these people that, well, I'm not going to say 1,000, but there were 1,000 peaceful protesters, right? We've poured over the numbers, and if you don't believe me, go back through my video archive. I've got the proof. It's all in the past, right? I've got all the proof there if you want to go see it. But there's at least 1,000 peaceful protesters that were arrested, spent time in prison, as a matter of fact, for January 6th. We've gone over the numbers. About 200 people, 206 to be exact, fought with police. About 500 people in total had some sort of violence, right? Like whether it was vandalism. Those 200 people that fought with cops are included in that 500, by the way, because that's something how the left, they love to manipulate the statistics. You'll see some stats will say, oh, well, 500 something people were, vandalizing and breaking windows and all this other stuff, and plus 200 people fought with cops. Well, no, that's not the truth. That's not the truth at all. It was only about 500 people that got kind of violent, right? Like 200 of those people fought with cops. Of those 200, 300 more were, broke down barriers, went into the building, destroyed property, vandalism type of stuff, right? So it's not 700, it's actually just the 500. But, going ad hominem like that, like these are American citizens. This is not the argument. What are you talking about here? But before I ramble on forever, because I could ramble on this topic for a very long time, and nobody really wants to hear me ramble. Let's keep going.
So let's to Brandon. I will come to you to respond. Let Jojo finish her point.
Thank you.
Yes, and then I will come to Brandon.
Thank you very much.
But please don't answer. Please don't
really,
talk over each other. Nobody can hear you. Yeah, when you talk over each other, it's very pleasing for both of you, but nobody else. So Jojo, finish your point.
Thank you very much, because that's exactly what I was doing. I just wanted to pick up on something Heraldo said in terms of what the American people voted for when they voted for Donald Trump as it pertains to the January 6th pardons. And they did not actually support pardoning the most violent insurrectionists that day. Overwhelmingly, they said that they didn't want that. There was, a spectrum related to those who, like the guy who did the cosplay and the cage thing as a January 6th inmate thing, that guy. There was some debate over whether those people should be pardoned.
Jojo,
that was me.
The American people didn't vote for that, Piers. They didn't vote for those pardons.
Hang on, please. The problem is with pardons is that Joe Biden has done what only one president in history has ever done, and that was once. Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon preemptively, right? He gave him a preemptive full pardon for any more crimes that may come out. Joe Biden's done it for half his. Joe Biden's done it for half his family, for a bunch of other people. He's given them all preemptive get-out-of-jail-free cards. We don't even know what the potential crimes might have been in the case of his family members. He's so desperate to preemptively pardon. So my point being that when the existing Democrat president abuses the pardon system in such an obviously personally self-interested manner, I don't think you really have the high moral ground on the left to go after Trump on pardons. I'm afraid that ship has sailed.
Piers, if you don't think that pardoning violence is a preemptive pardon for more acts of violence? You don't think that is exactly what you're setting the table for? That you don't think that the message is you commit acts of violence, I'm preemptively pardoning you by showing you that I will pardon you for your acts of violence? It is 100% a preemptive pardon for 1,600 people. Let's just say half of that number were violent. The preemptive pardon there is go ahead and commit acts of violence and I will let you get away with it. So yes, I do understand what you're saying about preemptive pardons and Joe Biden being the only other one since Gerald Ford, but Donald Trump just preemptively pardoned every violent, potentially violent insurrectionist who would commit those acts of violence in his name.
Yeah, all right,
it's a permission structure,
right.
100%.
His Here's the difference. They'd already been in jail for quite considerable periods of time. There's a complete difference between those and those who never went to jail. Brandon, final word to you on this.
Okay, so I guess that's the justification for actively abusing the pardoning system by preemptively pardoning. This is how they justify Joe Biden committing one of the most egregious abuses of the pardoning power that he can, is by saying that all pardons, now if it was somebody that was violent, that's a preemptive pardon for them to commit more violence, right? This is why people on the right have such an easy time debunking these narratives, because that's divorced from reality. Now, I have no problem saying, I know some people do have a problem saying this, that yes, I don't think Donald Trump should have blanketly pardoned all those people. Right? Now, I will say, before you get mad and start getting into the comments, blah, 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 hey, I'm right there with you. Everybody else should have had their sentences commuted. Just boom. If you fought with a cop, I'm sorry, even for that one guy that tased a cop, yes, 4 years in prison is plenty of time to spend for fighting with a cop, for disorderly conduct, whatever the charge was. Right? There was nobody murdered. No cops murdered, at least. You know, Ashley Babbitt absolutely was. But do we get justification for that? We haven't gotten it yet, have we? No, we haven't. But you cannot just make this up saying, oh, well, him pardoning all these violent people, that's a preemptive pardon. That's giving them a get-out-of-jail-free card to just go commit more violence. No, it's not. As a matter of fact, that is not what that is. That is what a pardon is supposed to be for. Pardons is not, once again, I'm not going to call the preemptive pardon a preemptive pardon, because it's not a preemptive pardon. It's absolute immunity. Because if you can't list a crime that they have committed, right, it's also an admittance of guilt for something. If you have to, quote unquote, preemptively pardon, aka give somebody immunity, there has to be a reason for that. Oh, and it can't be some fake made-up reason. Oh, Donald Trump's going to weaponize the Justice Department to go after... Right? No. He's talking about ending the weaponization, and he's actively doing that right now. Like I said, go watch my next video. That proves it outright. But anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, I love their justification here. Oh, well, Donald Trump did it. No, these people have spent time in prison. They committed crime. They actually committed crimes, got due process, as a matter of fact. Most of these people got due process. Some of them did not. It's absurd. Some of these people were just peaceful protesters. They got caught up in the mix, like Brandon Strzok right there. He shows up to film what's going on, the events of the day, if you will, and he gets thrown in jail, sent to prison for trespassing? Really? For trespassing. That's what you guys are getting all mad and bent out of shape over, because a bunch of people got pardoned for trespassing. They went to jail and served prison time for trespassing. They did not get a warning. Like, generally speaking, most people, to get trespassed, you get a warning for that first. Say you don't come back. However, since this was a extenuating circumstance, there was a barrier there. That was the warning. But that is also excluding the fact that on the other side, there was no barrier. There was no cops saying you can't come in. It was totally open. As a matter of fact, we've seen plenty of video evidence showing cops allowing people to come into the building. Those same people got arrested and spent time in prison for that. That is absurd. You cannot do that in this country. That is why everybody has come out so hard in response to January 6th. If the government would not have been weaponized, for crying out loud, they argue this all the time. Now, it's the biggest prosecutions. They had to hire, I don't know how many people, how many prosecutors they had to hire to go after all these people. The FBI, for a significant portion of Joe Biden's tenure as president, devoted 15% of their budget, which is in the billions, by the way. 15% of that budget went just for January 6th. That's absurd. While at the same time, Crime is running rampant all across the country. We've got criminals pouring across our southern border. This is why conservatives, Republicans, all these people on the right were getting so mad about this. And this is why you guys on the left lost so badly. You guys got so focused in on January 6th and Donald Trump and everything that Donald Trump was doing, MAGA world, if you will. You guys got so laser focused on that. You let the entire country crumble around you and did not seem to care. Did not care at all that you were making people suffer. People were living much more harder lives, if you will. Inflation ran rampant. But hey, let's get these January 6 people. Screw the inflation. We got wars starting all over the place. Yeah, but we're going after these J6 people. We've got criminals pouring across our southern border. Yeah, but we've prosecuted 1,500 people for January 6th. It's insane. It really is that these people have been, the people have been weaponized. Because they'll get up there and scream and yell about all this, about what Donald Trump is doing. And we're loving it. I'm loving it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm loving every single minute of this. But, you know, I have no problem calling Donald Trump out. Yeah, I don't think he should have pardoned the violent people. But commuting their sentence, I'm totally fine with that. As a matter of fact, if he wouldn't have commuted their sentences, I would have been quite pissed about that. Because a lot of those people, you know, once again, fighting with a cop, yeah, sure, you need to be arrested and you need to serve time in jail for that. Because we can't do that. We can't have a country where there's no consequences for that. Right? And that's another thing. Not to play whataboutism, but when we see the Summer of Love, all those BLM riots, and most of those rioters, you know, we didn't see the FBI going after, you know, allocating 15% of the budget to go after BLM rioters. We didn't see that, as a matter of fact. We did not see governors of these places calling in the National Guard immediately once these riots started. They waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. Some of them didn't even call it. They just let these rioters burn cities to the freaking ground with no consequences. Sure, there was a lot of people get arrested. A lot of people went to jail. But once again, we did not see the FBI allocate 15% of the budget to go after these people that got away from local police and the sheriff's departments. We did not see that at all. Because it didn't happen. It's insane. These people are arguing for all this. It's absurd. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you liked what you saw. Hopefully I earned that subscription. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, because that is the best way to help me out, is to share this video, and I would greatly appreciate that, you guys. But I went on for long enough. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.